Everybody, we are live from the Messenger Studio. How you doing today, Steve?
I am wonderful. I guarantee, sir. I guarantee. I'll say. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy.
We are. You and I were just a few moments ago having a ball about Valentine's Day and talking about some stuff.
I'm so excited about Valentine's Day. I mean, I don't know what you think about it, but I mean, I wrote Vicky a song.
Well, I think it's awesome.
Yeah, it sounded pretty cool.
I wish I'd have done one for Kathy. I mean, it's one of those things where you know that you can do it. Oh, there it is.
Listen. Oh, listen, this is beautiful stuff. If you didn't write a song for your woman this year, oh, look. Oh, hold on. The chorus is coming. This is brilliant. You're going to love this. Oh, awesome. Wait for it. Here it comes. See, Vicky and I met at a stoplight.
Yeah.
Over 16 years ago. We've been married 16 years today.
At a stoplight.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that awesome?
It's awesome. That is awesome.
So you want to tell them how I did this?
Yeah. So you can take there's a website out there called Suno, Suno.
Yep.
I think it's Suno.ai or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
If you Google it, it'll come up.
Yep. You can actually.
It gives you a decent song. Mm-hmm. It gives you something like 500 credits or something like. I think you can do.
I got 2,500 for $10 a month.
I think you can. Well, yeah, but for the free version, you can get like 50. You get 50, like 50 songs a month or something like that. You get. I think it's 500 credits a month.
Copyright free.
Yeah. So I mean, there are some restrictions, some commercial restrictions, but for personal use and stuff, it's good.
Well, I absolutely had
I couldn't sell it right without some restrictions, but I could use it for my podcast, things like that.
Yeah, I did one for video for Vicky and I that last night. I got to finish putting it together with some pictures, and it's going to go viral. I'm just know within our group of friends of friends of friends of friends of friends. An interesting fact is Facebook. It was on a business news channel that I was watching this morning.
Yeah.
As much as people want to go to TikTok or Instagram or something to that effect, Facebook is still actually quite the lead holder in the world of social media because of the meta. And it was an interesting topic today. So
I see that. Well, because
platform-wise.
Facebook is more than just videos and such, right? So TikTok is very niche, but it's a big niche, right?
Sure.
Even Twitter is still niche. It's it's quick and it's quick little blurbs.
Yep.
Where Facebook, you can basically write a book, right? You can say whatever you want to say. You can connect with people. The thing about Facebook was about connecting people.
Yep.
And if you go back and watch the movie about it, Social Network, and because they weren't the first,
right?
They weren't the first. They had
MySpace.
MySpace was the closest thing to Facebook.
If you had a MySpace channel, I want you to chime in right now. Just give me a like, a like or a share, something.
I think I had one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if I had one. I know my kids had one, but it was a lot more clunky. It wasn't as smooth as Facebook, and I think that's the thing about Facebook is it made it easy to connect, and talk about it. So, and this is not an advertisement for Facebook by any means, but we do go out over Facebook. So,
Facebook, YouTube, hopefully Twitter soon or X. But for this purpose, this is a live show. So first of all, this podcast session is paid for by the Republican Party.
Yeah.
And we're actually going to convert this into away from the Republican Party. Mark and I are going to start another series, and it's called
Kentucky Talks.
Yeah.
So next week we'll be moving over to Kentucky Talks and having a regular
which is not
discussion.
Affiliated with any party.
It will not be affiliated with any party. It'll be just an open discussion. as much like we do right now. But we'll have some some different topics.
We'll have to take it on the chin. We'll have to take it left and right.
Well, yeah. I mean, but there's certain things about this. This podcast, right? This podcast, the Meade Truth, is about is always been about
facts. Just lay the facts down.
Well, lay the facts, having a conversation, but it's also been promoting the Republican Party, and that's why we put it on, essentially. So we were, but we try to do it with, by teaching people,
fair and equity,
and we try to do it by teaching people, by making sure we're good community stewards. We're not doing this so with the sole purpose of just jamming the party down people's throats. We wanted to teach people about the party, and I think we've done that over the years. So, but we've been doing this for a few years now, and
I was trying to look it up. So let me see. Where's our video? Keep going though. I was going to find out how many videos we've done. So,
because it's hard to tell because we did videos.
I got them all on YouTube.
Yeah.
Let's see. They're all in here. Hold on. Keep going.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how many episodes we've done. We never really kept count of them, but there's plenty of them out there for us to go back and look at.
There's 125 pages of videos. That's how many we've done. Holy cow, Batman.
We've done a lot. Yeah, we've been doing it a while. So, we didn't do quite one a week, but close to it.
Yeah.
There was a couple weeks we did more than one, and we had different events and things like that. So we've had a great time doing this.
Yeah.
And this by no means that this podcast is completely going away. It's just that we're going to focus a lot of our, you and I are going to focus on making this a wider,
news, right.
making this to a wider audience. So.
Yeah.
But the Meade Truth newspaper that we put out, that's always been what that's really been about is promoting our candidates and things like that. And the Meade Truth podcast was just kind of coupling along with that. So all that's still there. We're not doing anything different with that. It's just that we may not be doing this podcast quite as often under that moniker.
We've done 125 episodes.
125 episodes.
Could you believe that?
We didn't celebrate our 100th.
I know.
We should have been keeping track and celebrating our 100th.
We should have done that. I didn't.
But
time flies when you're having fun.
It does. And we've got a lot of great feedback. A lot of people watch us. Most people watch us after the fact. But it's one of those things where we've kind of like let it run its course a little bit, and I think that we need to, kind of break it away from do something that's a little bit less, that's less restricted within the party and such. Because, because I think we have a lot of fun doing this, and I think we have even more fun once we kind of open it up.
Have you been to the Doge website lately?
I was just on it earlier today. What do you got on there?
Well, I just it says there's a savings and receipts coming soon, no later than Valentine's Day.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
let me take a look, see if I can see what you're seeing.
And then you can actually sign up for updates, which is kind of cool. But
what I liked about it, what I thought was kind of wild about it, was the fact that when you go into it, it kind of feels like it's it's on Twitter or something.
Oh, and this is crazy. I love this unconstitutionality index. They put up a page because remember they're all saying that this is unconstitutional or something like this.
Where are you seeing that at?
The doge.gov/regulations under the regulations tab.
Regulations.
Yeah, and it says unconstitutionality index. So kind of like a slap in your face for anybody that says it's unconstitutional to have an outside entity audit yourself. But it says this is the number of agency rules created by unelected bureaucrats for each law passed by Congress. So in other words, okay, Congress,
that's just in 2024.
Yeah, no, I know it, and it's over.
Okay, I see. It
something
goes from
million, like over 3 point something million additional regulations put in place.
Well, that's because Congress passes, when they pass these laws,
they're so vague.
They're vague, and they leave it up to the executive branch to deal with it, or to kind of create the rules that govern
what they're
law.
willing to enforce.
But here's the catch: so they're when they say that going through Doge the way that doing what Doge is doing right now, which is the trying to cut the excess spending and things, and they're saying, oh, it's unconstitutional, but they wrote the laws vague, and and so and relied on the bureaucracy to build to go figure out what to do. So now the bureaucracy
just don't do this.
But people don't realize the bureaucracy is not a fourth branch of government. It's the executive branch that's run by the president. Yeah. So whenever you do that, when you say bureaucracy, you're talking about the president's branch of government. It's the president. They serve at the they serve at the pleasure of the president, and he runs the policy. So what's happened in the past is the bureaucracy's gotten so large that most presidents don't take a day-to-day interest in it.
So I'm interested. The Department of Defense, and I remember this, we downsized a lot of our regulations, but there are 2.58 million words in Department of Defense regulations. There's 5.79K sections of regulations. So that's 5.79 thousand.
So let me speaking of Department of Defense, what do you think about Pete Hegseth so far? No opinion or
no?
I'm
think sure he's got a tight schedule. I think he's on the agenda because the one thing I've noticed about any of the cabinet members, there are several that overlap. Right. Let's just start with the border as an example.
Yeah. Because that's DHS.
You got DHS. He is rowing in that direction. What I'm looking for is not the person. I'm looking for the character of the promise. So now I'm looking at the czar rowing in the direction. What the audio is matching the video. Yeah. And then you see the Department of Defense.
When you say audio matching the video, just for the listeners, that means the president's saying this, and the people are actions that are happening.
Yeah, and you can see it. It's not a label. It's like I actually am seeing action from all media sources. So you're seeing the action because it's really happening. Then you've got ICE, right? Czar. Then you see DOD. You see a presence from the top official. Tasked by the President of the United States to go and execute this task on the ground, executing the task. And then you see Homeland Security, now that she's in place. Homeland Security, she just got she's what's her name? Gabby, she's intelligence, right? The lady in white. I can't remember her name. Anyway, but they're all moving in the same direction. Intelligence agency, the FBI, all of the things that were going to be done are all being done in unison in regards to border security, investigations, and then you've got the DOJ, where
that's Bondi, right?
Yeah, and then she's cracking down. If you're not,
I mean, think about the number of women that are in power positions under President Trump. And you remember Mark Cuban saying, "Oh, Trump doesn't like having powerful women around him." And look at the women that he's got surrounding him. That's just a crybaby. You know.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't sling the mud, but
it is though. I mean, when you're saying something like that, because your guy didn't get elected, you know, that's who's slinging the mud.
Well, he was slinging it to get his guy elected.
It's crying over spilled milk, right? He's just spouting stuff out there, and he's. I think he doesn't like the fact that he's not as important anymore. I think he's lost a level of importance because he was the billionaire guy that everybody was looking to for things such as on Shark Tank and stuff like that. Well, I've gotten to the point where I don't even watch Shark Tank anymore.
I haven't. There's other ones, but honestly, I don't have time to watch TV because I'm spending too much time reading. Yeah, which is fundamental, actually.
It is. But I mean, I used to, that used to be one of the shows that that
was
Kathy,
entertaining
that I would watch. Kathy didn't like it so much. She liked it for a while, but it seemed like it was going in, kind of going to more and more woke things, and it's like, and don't get me wrong, there's good in on all those things, and you can be an
Tulsi
entrepreneur.
Gabbard, Tulsi Gabbard is national intelligence. I was trying to think of the
but she's the director of national intelligence, which means that she's in charge of bringing all the information into one group, under one roof. But there's somebody else is over DHS. Each of those still have their own
I was
leaders,
trying to find it right now. Hold on. HHS is Kennedy. Greer. Hegseth is defense.
Interior
CIA is John Ratcliffe. Rollins, agriculture. Mark Rubio, Secretary of State. United Nations. HUD, OMB, Energy, EPA. Where is it at? Trade Representative. Attorney General, Interior, Labor, Veterans Affairs, Transportation. Kristi Noem. That's
Kristi
who was
Noem.
That's the one. Yeah, she's rowing, and she was honestly just down in North Carolina rowing, where they were neglected. You know what I mean? All those people with the floods and everything else.
Well, I mean, the thing about going back to Doge for a minute, the thing about Doge is and Elon Musk and Donald Trump, they've said, listen, there's going to be mistakes made. They're going to be stopping something that maybe shouldn't have stopped, and they'll get it going back. If it's needed, they're going to get it going. I think we talked about this last week a little bit, where I said, you have to kind of drain the excess out of the system to find out what really needs to happen. So what really works and what doesn't work. And that's what we're talking about. Right, we're talking about you. Sometimes you drain the waste out. You find out, we got to get over this rock, right? So we need flood it back in a little bit more, but you just get enough to get over it. You don't want to put so much that you've so much waste. Then we can discuss. But now the discussion's happening at Congress. That's what I like about it, is the fact that now Congress is now talking about it. And they're having discussions about what these real regulations are, and they'll say, it's amazing how many people come forth and say, "Well, heck, I didn't know that was in there," because it's not in there. It's not spelled out. Money was appropriated, given to these bureaucracies, and then those bureaucracies basically got to spend it the way they wanted to. Well, now the bureaucracies have made these promises. And now the president's stepping in and saying, no, we're not going to spend that money, at least not the way it's being spent right now. We need to make sure that we're putting it in the right place, that makes sure it's the best, that's serving American citizens first. So if there's something going to there was one guy that's talking about, they came out and said, oh, this money's going to Gaza. And this other guy came out and said, well, it's going to Gaza and Mozambique. There's another guy, or the same guy said, that the money that's going to the condoms for Taliban are, in Afghanistan are actually going to contraceptives to keep women from getting pregnant because there's a famine going on there. And if and women who are pregnant women are the ones that are dying the most. So they're trying to prevent them from getting pregnant while there's a famine. That may very well be true. Right. Yeah. That may very well be true, but at the same time, we need to make sure that that's what's going on, and that the money's not just going there, willy nilly without any kind of controls. Because when we send money into these places, those dictatorships, those regimes tend to take the money and leave the people without. And so it's very rare that we send money anywhere. We usually send goods, and a lot of times those goods are bought by Americans or from Americans, and sold or taken there.
What do you think of the new whatever you tariff us, we tariff you?
The reciprocal tariffs.
What do you think about that conversation?
I think it's about as fair as it gets.
I agree. Oh, but
a lot of people. Here's the tariff thing. What I really think is that tariffs, we as Americans are addicted to cheap Chinese labor.
And stuff like
that's what I mean. It all comes down to cheap Chinese labor, right? You want to
make it here, make it here.
Well, I mean, the thing is that to make it here, it's going to be more expensive to make it here, and so we are going to see prices increase.
Okay.
President Trump says that he doesn't believe that it has to increase, but he does say, and he's straight up honest about this, that there may be some period of time where it's going to take some adjustment because we're not going to maybe have we're not going to have that that cheap stuff anymore. He was asked the other day if he was going to give Apple an exemption like he did in his first term, and he does. I don't think he's going to. So your iPhone's going to go up, right? Samsung's not going to go up as much because our tariffs with South Korea
they're going to turn the switch off and make you get the old ones go out sooner, and then you got to go buy one.
Well, and what you do, you're not going. Nobody's going to buy them.
Yeah. Nobody's going to buy an Android.
Well,
you're going to convert me finally.
Apple needs to finally figure out how to make them in the United States. It
maybe
does not.
Near
I saw a video.
Columbus, Ohio, where they're building that big chip plant. They can
that's Intel's building that.
Or that's
right down the street from my.
They could move to the battery plant in Elizabethtown in Hardin County. That,
It's still going to be. It's still going to be. You're still going to pay. I mean, you figure in China, you're paying about $1.60 an hour, or something like that.
Yeah.
Ish. And the way it works in China is you think China is like, well, it's communist and blah blah blah, and that's absolutely true. It's definitely socialist.
Yeah, they don't get to TikTok like you do here in America.
It's much different.
Come on and do a live stream like this, and
we have to be very careful about when we go there. We have to be very careful about we have to VPN around things and through things to try to be able to connect to our work and stuff like that. So. Going to Europe, it's much easier to deal with because you still have like open internet and things like that. But in China, you don't. China is behind a firewall, and so they do monitor all that traffic. Everything goes through their systems on the internet is monitored.
You lost your train of thought.
My train of thought because we went down the trail about the Chinese thing, but it is communist, but they have most of their people and operators in the plants. They have a very strong merit based increase, so they make very little money. But for every job, they'll have a big giant job matrix on the wall in a factory. And you go up to it and you see a person's name, and for every dot that they have on that wall, so the matrix has the names of the people on the one side, and across the top, it'll have all the jobs that are in the plant. For every dot is a job that they can do.
Right.
They get a pay increase for every job that they can do.
Okay.
Right. So that's how you can kind of build.
I've cross trained. I can do this other job.
Correct.
If Joe is sick, I can come in and fill in for Joe, and I can still get paid.
So you make yourself more flexible and available to the company, and the company then compensates you for that. That's a really good way to do it. They still only make about $1.60 an hour, right? Or a buck, but they don't. When you go out to eat there or you go do anything there, it's much less expensive than it is here.
The rates are equitable.
Oh yeah, so it's never. Listen, I'm not. We're at a point in the United States where we can.
Shift?
We have to do something different. We're not going to be able to.
You don't think we can go back to the 50s and pay $5,000 for a car?
Well, I would love to,
but the inflation rate's the same.
But I would have to give up my pay. I would have to give up a level of pay to go back to that. And so there's a trust factor there that I have to trust that if I give up this pay,
all the other prices are going to.
Everybody else is going to, that nobody's going to drain all the money out of the system. And so that's what happens. But there's the pie is one size. Right? We just keep slicing the pie up into smaller, thinner slices.
Sure.
And that's what causes inflation. But when you talk about inflation, you're talking about you're cutting what your dollar can buy. I would much rather be able to buy more with my dollar than to make more money.
Yeah,
it makes much more sense for me to say, hey, if I make $10 an hour, but I can have a good home, I can have a decent car. We're not talking about getting rich money, but we're not getting rich now. So you can make you can make $100,000.
Yeah.
Right. 20 years ago, if you made $100,000, you were basically rich, or on your way to being rich. Right. If you made $100,000 a year.
Sure.
$100,000 a year now is just barely above the national average. The national average is about $70,000. And because, and they said, well, you need to make $15 an hour. If you make $15 an hour as a minimum wage of $15 an hour, everything's going to go up, and you're still not going to be able to buy as much. You're going to buy the same amount, but for very little time, you'll make a little bit more money. But then very quickly, inflation takes over, and it's going to eat away at those $15, and you're going to make the exact same amount of money. You're going to be able to buy the same exact amount as you were before. If you're making minimum wage, you're going to have your dollars. You're still going to be able to buy the least amount of stuff, because the dollars are not going to expand, because everybody along the line is going to expand their costs. No business owner is going to have a business open if they're not making money. Right. You and I talk about that a lot. We both have businesses, and we both look at it from the same point of view. And there's been times where I've thought maybe I should give up the business, because it's sometimes it's not as profitable as others.
Right.
And it's like it starts getting the feeling of, well, is this worth it? Is it worth working through this to try to get to the other side? And once you get to the other side, usually you're relieved, and you can kind of do things. And so and it's the same thing. It's the same thing. There's only so much money that there's only so much money can buy. And all we can hope for is that the money stretches out far enough that we can buy a decent home, own our home, own a decent vehicle that can get us from point A to point B, maybe be able to buy, 3 or 4 cars in your lifetime that are decent cars, because that's one thing that wears and tear.
Yeah.
And you're always going to have to buy a new one every so often.
I wish I could have followed that philosophy.
It's hard. It's a hard philosophy.
We're done though. I got to tell you, man. Well, first of all, shout out to Race Ford. We have one in every category now, I think. But I'm kind of like pre-buying a kid's car now, so that it's sitting in the driveway ready to go. You know what I mean? But
well, you've got about 6 years before that, something like that.
It's gonna it'll be here before it gets there. I mean, it's already been 3, Mark. 2 or 2. Yeah.
It's I know. They grow up very, very quickly.
I know. I was telling Landon yesterday. I said, "You see your little sister? Do you see how tall she is right now?
Yeah.
And how little she was just not too long ago?"
Oh, yeah.
And I was giving him a big brother encouragement conversation, and he turned around and he said, "Man, where did she grow up?" It was funny, and he's a 9-year-old perspective. So.
Yeah, we have 4 grandchildren. Our youngest is not a year yet.
Yeah.
Got a ways to go to be a year. And we're watching her grow. I mean, she was just a little bitty thing. She was born a little premature, not super premature, but premature enough.
Yeah.
And so she's little, and then her sister grows like a weed. She's tall for her age. Yeah. Sadie is not as tall for her age. And then we have our other 2 grandchildren that live here. Sadie and Toby, they live in Virginia Beach, where my son's in the Navy. Yeah. And so, but the other 2 are here, and it's like, I remember, it was just like yesterday that our oldest granddaughter was born, and now she's 10. She's doing the spelling bee, and and it's cool? It is cool. I didn't get to go. I had to work, and it was like so disappointing. It's like there was not. Sometimes you have calls that you can kind of like you can work around things and make it fit for family stuff, and then there's your boss has a call, and you're like, I can't get out of this one. I've got to be there. But it's just the way it is. But it's all fun, and Kathy's taking videos of every time she goes up and spells and stuff and sending them to me, so it's good.
Very cool.
It's good. But anyway, So here we are. When you think about China and the low wages they have, the United States, in order for us to when we start manufacturing things here, yes, it's going to cost us more. But really and truly, I think we're at a point where we have to rip that Band-Aid off and try to figure out how do we save manufacturing in the United States? How do we bring some of that back and make it work, economically for all of us?
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy. There's going to be some moments there's going to be some moments where it's like, wow, I mean, how are we able to do this and such? But we've, in my business, I've seen us go from, like every plant we had was in the United States to now we have maybe, one or two. I mean, the companies that I've worked for in the past, they don't even have a service plant.
Right.
They maybe have one service plant in the United States, and then the rest of them are, they're in Mexico or overseas somewhere.
Well, I think obviously we're going to see a lot of transformation with the local stuff. What do you think about the idea of a 51st state? What does that rub? How does that rub you as far as?
Well, I mean, I don't think there'll be a 51st. They will always come in twos, right?
You don't think Canada? Oh, so you think it'd be 51, 52?
It'd have to be 51, 52 because.
Well, there's a spot right there in the middle. They could just put it right in the middle of the and make a bigger star.
We don't need
because Canada would then be the largest state.
Land mass, but not in population.
Yeah, I know that.
So I think we'd still. I think it would only be like number 3 in population or number 4 in population.
Sure.
So, because how many? Google it real quick. How many people
are in Canada?
It's like 60 million or something like that, or 45 million or something like that. It's not like 100 million. I don't think. I mean, it's a big, vast landmass with no people. Most of it has no people.
Do you think that Canada is obviously resources? The fight is like for certain minerals and stuff like that now, especially for Silicon Valley. That's where we got Silicon Valley from.
Yeah.
Do you think that Canada would be a large exporter of materials in support of where we wouldn't be able to get it in other countries?
Yeah, I mean, like Ohio's got huge silica deposits. Ohio used to be like really huge for glass. The little hometown where my wife grew up in Utica, Ohio, there was a glass factory there. And
327 million people in the United States, 35 million in Canada.
Is it 35? I thought it was like 45 or 50.
It says 35.
Like but see, that's and so we have about 335, as it said. I think is that 20? What year was that? Is that
2024? The population of Canada's population smaller than the United States.
Much smaller. I mean, we're like
305 million.
I think we're the 4th largest population in the world. I think that China, India. I think India just overtook China. Actually,
probably.
I think India, China. I think Russia and then the United States.
Okay, but if you were going to compare India and China, which one would you rather live in?
Oh, I've not been to India, but there's more freedoms in India, so India for sure.
Really?
But yeah, there's much more freedom in India, even though they're still closed off. Pretty much, they're still very closed off. The thing about India is like do you know how many phone scams come out of India? I know. Everything you get. That's the thing I want President Trump to go after. They're talking about tariffs and things to India. I want to put a special tariff on India to say,
no more phone calls. No more phone calls.
I don't want any more phone calls from India. I don't want another phone call. I've said this for years. I've talked to just about anybody that will listen to me that. We got to find some way to cut that off. And the problem is that there are pockets of corruption within the Indian government, whether it's at the local level, their province level, or what have you, that it creates that they're protecting these companies. They find out that they are. Have you ever seen Scammer Payback? Do you ever watch that That's a very, very good.
Oh yeah, I could see that. Just like catching the guy that steals the Amazon package off your porch.
Yeah, well, scammer payback is they're much more sophisticated than that. They mean they hook up with like the AnyDesk and all them, and work with them to shut these people down. But they're using the tools of the trade to hack your systems, and you have to let them in. But these guys are able to when they come to them, they're backdooring them and getting into their systems,
right?
And watching them and copying them, and they see things, and so they try to set up stings with the Indian government, and they find out that they're setting up the sting, and then the night before, they'll be in their CCT systems watching the area, and all of a sudden the place goes dark the night before. Because the government is telling them, hey, you got a problem. They're getting ready to raid you, and so they try to shut them. And that's a problem. So we need the Indian government to go after those people and shut them down, because they're taking billions of dollars, billions with a B, from our elderly. I get phone calls every day from somebody with an Indian accent wanting to sell us embroidery stuff. Some of those may be legitimate. The problem is I don't know. I don't know if it's legitimate. When I hear the voice on the phone, I hate that about this, is that some people are legitimate, and I'll tell them. I said, listen, I want to trust you, but I've seen so much corruption and so much theft. Usually, maybe these are okay, but most of the there's so many. All it takes is one to wipe out your bank account.
Yep.
Right. And so
there was a movie. What was it called? Beekeeper. Did you ever watch it? Don't.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that's exactly
that was
right.
An ugly movie.
And that's real. I mean, maybe not the beekeeper guy going after him, but the syndicate that exists is real.
Yeah.
They really operate that way.
I believe it. I mean,
and almost all of them are in India. So, and they're getting
that would drive me nuts, man. I mean, could you imagine somebody would just? I mean, some people probably would not be able to handle that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm a firm believer in God. So I mean, whatever happens, I feel like we're going to be okay ultimately. And that does help me through. It helps me through these type of times where I can say, well, if I'm okay with President Trump disrupting this. Right, the status quo, to try to get us to a different level of status quo. Not to take us back socially, but to take us to stabilize us economically, because right now I don't think we're not stable economically. We feel like things are good. We can buy stuff, and but a lot of that's a false. It's a facade,
right?
Because a lot of that, we're like one moment away from, something, a bubble bursting somewhere, and us now all being thing. I believe that if we had a bank failure right now, like we did in 2008,
yep,
I would not expect Donald Trump to save that bank.
I would hope not.
But we did back in 2008.
Yeah, well, I would hope not.
Lehman Brothers and Wells Fargo.
Do you think we're headed back down that same road again?
I think so. Did you see that? Did you see the movie on that? What was that called?
Well, you can never go by the movie, but I'm sure it was pretty good. It made you feel it comes from
it talks about
the corruption. Oh, the bank corruption. Yes.
Yeah, the bank corruption and stuff that they were doing. What was the name of that movie? Let me give it.
Well, I thought it was
The Big Short. The Big Short. Did you see that?
I had
Steve Carell.
I did not get to watch the whole movie, but I was kind of sickened by it about probably 20 minutes in, and I was like, oh no, I can't do this. This makes me sick, because it still happens today.
Well, I mean, at the end of the movie, they talk about guess what? Here's this new instrument that's basically the exact same thing they were doing, just with a different name and a different,
It's like,
and so there's nobody
opening a business, letting it crumble, and then reopening it right next door again.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I saw, I saw this happening when Kathy and I bought our first house. We had it appraised, right? And so we made an offer on the house, we made it contingent on the appraisal. The appraisal came back, and the appraisal was $6,000 or something like that less, $7,000 less. And so it's like, but that doesn't happen anymore. If you go to buy a house, most every time you go to buy the house, it's going to appraise for what you ask for what the asking price is.
Right.
And it's like, how does that figure?
Every time you just keep changing it because they want.
Because
I love how they appraise the homes where they just bought it and now they're raising the price just because to make up for the real estate fees for selling it. And I'm like,
yeah.
How do you, I do like some of the laws that they've come up with about the buying agent and all that other stuff, and then having an agreement, because I just got your stuff off of Zillow. Why do I need to pay for a buyer agent? I've already found it.
I've done all the legwork.
Yeah, I've already done all the legwork. What do I need you for? Yeah.
I mean, the seller's the one that should be paying.
Forgive me, all of my real estate friends out there, but for saying that. But
the seller is the one that should be paying the fees most of the time. Yeah. So, which is the right thing, because that's where the money side of it. I mean, I'm going to borrow money. I do have to pay my closing costs and things like that. But I mean, when we sold our first house, I really wish I had that house today. First of all, it would have been paid off like 10 years ago.
Oh, I'm sure.
That house is almost as same as the house we have now. Maybe it's actually a little bit larger, a little bit more land.
Right.
But it wasn't in town, and it was. But I looked at that, and it's like, I really wish I loved that house. I wish I could build that exact house, on my lot today. It would be so much nicer, and I just love the layout of it and everything. But it's
So what are we gonna do with the new show?
So the new show, it's going to be very similar to what we do today, but this will allow us to kind of expand outside of the not just the politics, but we want to be able to talk to just the
legislative updates.
We'll do legislative updates. We want to talk about. We want to talk to local businesses and things like that, and just and kind of be more part of the community than just in the party. I think that we'll do we'll still have the Meade Truth probably for the fair and stuff like that. Probably we'll have to work all that out, but yeah.
Have to rotate through. We'll have Kentucky Talks, the Early and Steve show.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll have to work that out, because the booth is paid for by the Republican Party. So
we'll have to figure that out.
Yeah,
I have to get a whole new booth. I have the messenger booth.
Yeah, you do. But it's not very much room over there.
I don't know.
It's only like an 8x8 or something like that.
Yeah, take the thing out of the way, and then just we'll figure it out.
Let's see if we can put a little.
Speaking of, you've got an event coming up, Mark.
We do. So a week from tomorrow, this is on Saturday the 22nd. We put out the call. You probably saw it, and hopefully you saw it in the messenger. The messenger this week. It should be in the messenger this week and next week. And we are doing the reorganization of the Republican Party in Meade County. This is an event that's going to happen over the next 6 weeks or so. The Republican Party in Kentucky and all across the country are going to reorganize themselves. We do this every 4 years. Basically, you are all the officers of the party and everything are moved to a temporary status for that day, and the party then goes to the precinct level. The most grassroots of grassroots is the precinct level. They select up to 3 different captains for each precinct.
Right.
That's 57 positions in Meade County.
So if you want to get involved in
it
local
will be
politics,
on the 22nd That'll be February 22nd. It'll be registrations at 9 a.m. It's going to be at the Meade County Fairgrounds at the Home and Garden Center, the Home and Garden Building. Registrations at 9 a.m. The meeting should start right around 10 a.m. Maybe a minute or a couple of minutes. It depends on how many people there. I'm hoping there's a huge turnout. If you're a Republican, if you were a registered Republican in Meade County as of October 8th, then you are eligible to October 8th of 2024. Then you're eligible to take part in the reorganization. Basically, you had to be an eligible Republican voter on Election Day on November 5th. Which means you had to be registered in Meade County by October 8th. Now, if you moved from somewhere else in Kentucky and moved into Meade County in the meantime, as long as you are a registered Republican before in your previous location in Kentucky,
right?
That only counts if you're in Kentucky. Then you can get a special dispensation so you can get certified to take part in the reorganization. So,
okay.
But the thing is most people are, there's maybe about 100, 200 maybe people who have converted in the meantime. So by far the majority of Republicans are eligible. So we'll have a list. You'll sign in. You'll get a thing. It will tell you what precinct you're going to. And that's how it'll work out. And so we'll vote on those precinct officers, and then we'll move over to and do the county right after that. So. And
you got an intro too. You got us like a Mark and Steve intro.
Yeah. And did you play it? You want to play it?
Yeah, play it. Put it on the beat.
Oh, I don't know if I can play it from here.
No, I
sent it to you.
Well,
you don't have it.
Yeah.
You don't have it. Well, that's all right. We'll
get it teed up with a teaser.
Yeah. The goal was for us to be set up for next week to next Friday to be on Kentucky Talks.
Yeah, and you can tune in. You can chat in. You can actually send us a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get more information out there this week.
We'll get it all set up, website, and all that good stuff. So,
hey, the newspaper's out. There's some love letters in it.
Yeah.
We did find the newspaper, so go grab it. Get yourself a copy.
Yeah.
And thanks for tuning in, everybody. We appreciate you guys.
We absolutely do. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to you and your wife.
Thank you.
Happy Valentine's Day to Kathy. I know you're listening out there. I love you, baby.
16 years, man.
35 years for Kathy and I. Yeah. We've been together a long time.
Yeah.
Raised 3 boys, and all 3 are good young men. And
yes, they are.
And we've got so far 4 grandchildren. So we're working. We're hoping for more.
I can attest to that.
Yeah. All right.
You guys have a great night.
Have a good one.
Happy anniversary, baby. I love you.
Stopped at that light where dreams you